you people down at the scouting combine, what was your because you guys, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, you had a visit from Mike Rabel after he did his press conference today, correct?
We did. That's correct. And not only, he was doing the full car wash today. He did the podium, then he came and talked with us. He talked with Sirius, and then he did a little roundtable there with all the scribes from the Boston media. So, it's good. It's just you can tell this is an experienced coach who knows what he wants to do this second time around. I think just that confidence kind of permeated all of those different interviews that he went through today.
So a lot of us obviously listened to the press conference, but we may not have listened to the sit down with you guys or even the little local scribe scrum. So be our boots on the ground. What was the most interesting takeaway from either the chat with you guys or the local reporters?
Sure. I think probably the most interesting quote I thought of the day was just that the roster is probably going to look a lot different at the end of August than it does right now. So I think all of us want to get, so far ahead of ourselves with free agency and everything. And, I think they're just being methodical. That was the big piece to me. I know he mentioned too from the podium that Terrell Williams will be calling defensive plays. They found that was pretty interesting. Evan Lazar and I were trying to, grill him a little bit on the defense. I find it fascinating. He played under Bill and that defense here, of course, and then, being under Dean Pease and with Romeo Cornell. And so he's kind of got the background, but what he did in Tennessee a little bit different. So he wasn't quite playing game with us on all that stuff. But, we are clocking that he's saying Terrell Williams wants guys who are penetrators and disruptors. So we're reading that as maybe an injection of aggressiveness on defense, which I think everybody can get behind.
So, Deuce, obviously the confidence that Mike Vrabel is projecting in the process and the people that he has hired to run the Patriots with him now is creating, much like there is now in Red Sox Nation and in Fort Myers, a buzz. Like there's more excitement about the Patriots now than there has been in a couple of years. Is that buzz around the Patriots palpable at the Combine? And what are you hearing or feeling from people, regarding the Pats?
Yeah, it feels like everyone really respects Mike Rabel. Of course, as a player, there's a ton to respect. And then, what he did in Tennessee, there's a lot to respect there as well. So I think that's the biggest thing is that it feels like there is an experienced head coach back in the position that, maybe learned from some of the mistakes he had. But ultimately, it's not about rah-rah speeches and slogans and, that kind of stuff. You can tell Mike Rabel's about football. And this is about getting to know players and trying to find the right players. That, I think what has been most interesting to me over the last few times speaking with him is, how much weight he just puts into interviewing guys and getting a chance to really get a sense of what the guy's about before you even really have a sense of their film or who they are as players. So he just seems to have a distinct vision for what he wants from this team. And, he's not making any kind of promises or anything like that. I think he understands this is the NFL and, you got to win games, but at the same time, I think he knows what he wants to do. He wants to do it the right way. And I think, right here, the rest of the NFL seems to, have some respect for him and what he's done and hopefully what he's going to do here with the Patriots.
Excuse me, Mike. I hope you got your card there. It sounds like it's happy hour at St. Elmo's right now, where you're at. But if you haven't, been, I'm sure you have. You got to get there. But I know what I want to hear from Elliot Wolf tomorrow. He speaks to the press tomorrow. Yeah. But what would you like to hear from Elliot Wolf, Mike, from your standpoint?
I'd like to hear what the philosophy is going to be this year. Clearly, last year was tough with the personnel acquisitions. Not a lot worked out. And, what's going to be different this time around. And, I think I'm just excited to hear how we've used this draft class because, let's face it, Ted, I grew up watching you play. I love old school linebackers. I love, the defensive side of the ball, and that's really what gets me excited. And as we have dove into this draft class, it really seems like there's a lot of different options on the defensive side of the ball for that front seven, along the edge, in the middle, whatever your fancy is. And so I really want to hear Elliot's point of view on that. And, of course, the 4th overall pick. It seems, last year, 3rd overall, felt like, all right, they're probably going to take a quarterback, whether it's going to be Daniels or May. This year it feels a lot more uncertain. Speaking with people here, it sounds similar to that. It sounds that, Hunter and Carter, yeah, we like them. But after that, it's a whole lot of big question marks. Just a second ago, listening to George Patton from the Broncos say, there's not a lot of big difference between 10 and 20, where the Broncos are down at 20. So, it's a really interesting position, I think, this year, 4th overall pick. And, you'd love to trade down and pick up some additional picks. So I'm very interested to see how Elliot Wolf kind of views this class. And the difference is, even though it's only one spot, 3rd and 4th, it feels a lot different than it was last year.
Mike Dussault, live from Indianapolis at the NFL Scouting Combine, joining us here on WEEI Afternoons. Mike, Wiggy likes to say the streets are talking. And you're at the Combine, the streets are loaded with NFL personnel. And I hearken back to, I know a lot of people want a sexy free agent signing or trade. Oh, go get T. Higgins, go get Debo.
Yeah.
But when Mike Rabel was hired, he said something to the effect of, you got to protect the quarterback and you got to affect the quarterback. Protect him on offense and affect him on defense. And I look and I see linemen, and Fitzy and I have been talking a lot about this. You got Josh Sweat, you got Milton Williams, you got some guys in the trenches on the defensive side. Any buzz about maybe those guys being targets by the Patriots? And do you think you people, you Patriots fans, you Pat's propaganda peeps, would be excited? Would that be an exciting splash in free agency if they got a Josh Sweat or a Milton Williams?
You know, I think it's a good question, Andy, and that's what I think you're really trying to balance right here. Is, as I said, I think the front seven's really one of the best position groups they have here this year. Now, you're not going to be able to make the same kind of impact, and I'm sure you guys probably heard Vrabel earlier today talk about the same thing. Look at the Super Bowl; it was in the trenches.
Yep.
I almost wonder, Andy, is you love the sexy things. You love talking about Ronnie Stanley and T. Higgins and those guys. They might not even make it. It's maybe it's the not sexy move that ultimately works out. What about one of those? Go find, and I don't know if Alec Jackson's the guy. I mean, that's not going that far down the depth chart of left tackles that are available out there in free agency. But, how about a little bit of, hey, maybe it's not name brand recognition, but these guys are going to come in and actually be able to play the way that they want to play. I still think they're going to make some big swings. They have to. They got the cap space. I don't think it's a great free agency class. I mean, that is some of the buzz that you hear that, that there's going to be a lot of deals getting done over the next couple of weeks with, Khalil Shakir is, a minor example of that. But I just think a lot of these free agents that we're setting ourselves up for are all going to end up sticking with their team, based on how this draft is going right now. So it's hard when you spend a year talking about T. Higgins, and then, it looks less and less likely by the day. But, same thing with Ronnie Stanley at that left tackle spot. They got to find a way to plug some holes in free agency and not, be beholden to needs as they get into the draft.
Mike, I see that on Patriots.com, they have a mock draft tracker where all of everyone's picks are coming in. And while it seems like the majority of Football America believes that Will Campbell is going to make his way to the New England Patriots come first round of the 2025 draft, you believe a dual threat multi-talent might actually slip through the cracks all the way down to 4?
Hey, we're having some fun here. We got to do a lot of mock drafts.
Are you laughing at your own? Are you laughing at your own mock draft?
But I'm laughing because there's no way Travis Hunter is making it down to 4. There's no way. But
zero chance.
Hey, they say, hey, put together a mock draft real quick. I'm like, hey, let's play in fantasy land where this awesome dynamic player, makes it down to the 4th overall pick, and it's a no-brainer. I mean, I feel the same way about Abdul Carter. He's probably my favorite of everybody. Having that kind of disruptor on the defensive line is just something that will be really exciting. But, hey, at the same time, it's hard to not watch Travis Hunter and just think, wow, this guy is just an elite athlete that, how is he going to fit? I don't know. But throw him in there. Hey, just play him. I was joking a little bit with the few guys. Like, just play him third downs, both sides of the ball, Make it that way. Reduce his load a little bit. But, yeah, look, he'd be a fun player. Having a little fun there with the first mock draft because I don't think that's ever going to happen. And somebody like Will Campbell, definitely far more realistic, I think.
Real quick follow-up, Mike. I've listened to some other shows about people that are talking about who they expect to pop and go off this week out at the Combine. You got any guys, any names real quick you just want to throw out our way from people you've heard about, like watch out when this guy puts on the underwear Olympic show come Thursday or Friday?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd say the 2 Georgia kids, the 2 Georgia defender there, Michael Williams, one of them, Jalen Walker, the other one. Like, those 2 guys are super intriguing to me, and I think, if you were to trade down, those guys are a pretty good consolation prize. Maybe not quite what Abdul Carter is, but I think they both offer you starter potential right out of the gate. I mean, hell, if there's a way you could get both of them, I think you could find a way to play them both at the same time. I mean, I think you look at those SEC defenders, Georgia, it's hard to go wrong, especially after watching Philly. If you can grab some of those guys, those are 2 guys that I think they're really going to, especially Walker. I think athletically he's just going to blow up, and people are really going to start to get high on him. So no surprise, I'm looking at the defensive side, guys. But, Tech McMillan, how's he going to run? I think that's an interesting one, too. If he were to run a little bit faster maybe than people are anticipating, that might help his draft stock. But another bit of buzz around here has just been not a lot of great receivers in this class, not a lot of buzz on these guys.
Hey, Mike, I was lucky enough back in 2002 to kind of pick any event I wanted to go to in Salt Lake City for the Winter Olympics, and I picked speed skating and ski jumping. They were awesome. But you get to pick what are your favorite events? You going to any of the events, the 5, 10, 5, 3 cone? Is those something that you attend, and do you have any favorites that you like?
I haven't gone. Yeah, I would love to. Though we have the credential now to actually be able to go and watch a little bit, and I know it's open to the fans. But I think the 40s are always really fun. I mean, certainly last year they broke the record with the speed. But no, that's a great question. I'd love to get over there. I love watching it on TV. I mean, it's kind of football light, and you get a little bit of a sense of some of these guys. So be cool. I got to try to get over there. I will tell you, Ted, we did make it to St. Elmo's last night, so don't worry. We got the big fat steaks in, and Andy, I think we had a St. Elmo's dinner here my first year here, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
As you showed me the way of the big head here in Indianapolis.
You're damn right. Did you have shrimp cocktail last night?
Yes.
Well, you're kind of forced to have the shrimp cocktail whether you want it or not. So of course I jumped right in on that one. Oh. Cleared the sinuses out, feeling great.
Thank you for your sacrifice, Deuce.
And now you can go measure Will Campbell's arms and find out whether he's a guard or a tackle.
I got my tape measure, Andy. I'm ready to go.
Perfect. All right. That's Mike Dussault, Patriots.com. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
See you, buddy.
Mike Dussault, Patriots.com, a.k.a. my replacement.